be in the way, or?
No, no.
If I'm in a way, let me know, Chair.
What's that?
If I'm in a way, let me know.
Oh, no, I got it raised up here, no problem.
Hello, you ready? So I'd like to welcome everybody today. It's a historical day for the Little Shell on two different occasions. One, we have our new building here that we're going to be able to rent out for wakes, wakes, weddings, meetings, and it's historical in the sense that the Little Shell, you know, it's on Hill 57, our home base here, right at the bottom. And then on the other historical part of today is, you know, as Indian people, we have always built alliances, and today is very historical in that we are building an alliance or consortium of tribes and the institutes from Canada in preserving our native language, which is really significant and it hasn't been done. I mean, for the Little Shell, it's a big day, and we're really excited. And I'm glad to see so many people here for this. And with that, I'd like to introduce this past chairman, a very respected leader of the Little Shell. He's been a chairman many times. We still call on him for his knowledge and advice. Mr. John Gilbert. Come up, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was a very nice introduction. It's good to see so many people here, and welcome. I know most of you out there, and some I don't know, but this is really exciting to me. And it's a special day for the Little Shell tribe and all of our members. We actually own something. I can't believe it. We own something. And it's exciting to see things going forward for us, so I'm very pleased. I've been asked by our chairman to give a prayer. I'll do the best I can for all of us here. So at this point, would you please stand? Dear Lord and Creator, we ask that you please bless our veterans past and present. Keep our veterans who are active out of harm's way, those who are serving our country and keeping us free and safe. Bless them all. We ask that you bless this gathering here today. It's a very special gathering for all of us, with all friends and neighbors from all over the place. We are so pleased to have so many people show up. We ask that you please bless our council, give them wisdom, give them knowledge, so they may go about their task in making the right decisions on our behalf. Make them wise so they make the right decisions on our behalf. Keep them strong so they can carry on our fight for federal recognition. Give them the knowledge that they need. There are many people here that are not here with us today that have been waiting for this day of federal recognition. Our dream, which has never come true yet, but it's on its way. It's the closest we've ever been. But there are so many Little Shell tribal members that are no longer with us that had waited to see such a thing, even as us here owning our own building and property, but had waited forever for federal recognition, and they're not here to see it. So bless them, Lord. Also, we would like to say, Lord, help us bring an end to the day that never comes. Bring an end to the day that never comes, and grant us federal recognition. I want you to all travel safe, enjoy your day here today, and amen. Mr. Chairman, may I continue with the mic? As I was saying today, Chairman Gray said that I was the past chairman. I have been involved with the Little Shell extensively for many years. But you know, like I was part of this one, and I was chairman and on the council when we started looking at this project. And it does me, I just feel so good inside to actually see it come to be realized, what we have here. It's not the point anymore where we have to make a phone call and see somebody will let us use their building. We don't have to worry about somebody letting us into their building. We don't have to pay money to rent a building to have our gatherings and our meetings. So this is very, very unique. It's very pleasing. But in saying that, I want you all to realize that there has been a tremendous amount of work and effort that's been put into this. Everybody worked together, and our council worked diligently, and they worked very hard to make it happen. And I think that's just wonderful that they were able to pull it off. But I do know there were some people here that worked a little extra hard to make this thing work, and they were unselfish with their time. They were here trying to complete this project and neglecting their own responsibilities, some of their own things that they had to do, but they were here and gave it 110% to try to help us get this thing completed. And I myself personally think that we should recognize a couple of special people here that put a little extra effort in there from my past knowledge and what they've done. And one of those persons I'd like to mention is Councilman Donnie Davis. Clancy Severson. And that young feller on the end over there, he sold a few things to the tribe. We're sitting in the chairs and stuff that he got in. But anyway, that young feller, Mr. Gilbert on the end. That said, I'll give the mic back to our chairman, but this is a great day. I'm very pleased. Enjoy your day. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so since this is a quarterly meeting, we'd like to go ahead and I do need to make an announcement too. If Carol Juno, can you come up here for a second? I told Carol would give her some time so we could. She's getting people signed up, and go ahead, you guys.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I didn't think I would get up here to talk, but that's wonderful, and congratulations. I'm just really pleased to be here, and it's just wonderful to come to the Little Shell home here in Great Falls. My name is Carol Juno, and I and my friend Jules Schindel in the back there are doing petitions today. And we've asked some of you, and some of you have accepted. We're trying to get Medicaid expansion on the ballot this fall in November. And we need, I believe, about 25,000 signatures in Montana to do so. And we need about 6,000, I think, from the Cascade County area. But you can be from any county in Montana and sign one of these. Medicaid expansion lost in the Montana legislature by 1 vote last session. And so we're trying to get it on the ballot so the people of Montana can say, yes, we want this for the fall. And then it will go back to the legislature again for budgeting for that. 70,000 people in the state of Montana would be eligible for for quality health care through Medicaid if we can get this expanded. Of those 70,000 people, 20,000 are Indian. So that's a huge, huge thing. People need, as one of the basic rights of people, to have quality health care. And so many people in our state do not have this. This is one step to help do that. So if you would like to sign this petition today, I'll be here probably till about noon. Jules will be here for a bit, but we're back there. Make your way back there if you'd like, and we'll get you signed up to support getting this on the ballot this fall. And thank you so much, and congratulations once again to the Little Shell Council for this wonderful success today and for the celebration you're having. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, I'd like to go ahead and start with our quarterly meeting. What we'll do is have roll call, previous minutes, and then committee reports. So what I'll do now is hand the mic over to Colleen.
Good morning. Okay, we'll start the roll call. Chairman Gerald Gray.
Present.
First Vice Chairman Clancy Sievertson.
Present.
Second Vice Chairman Leona Kienberger.
Present.
Colleen Hill, Secretary Treasurer, present. Councilmember Donnie Davis.
Present.
Councilmember Richard Peranto.
Present.
Councilmember Sean Gilbert.
Present.
Very good. I'll look for my file here. Okay, now we'll go over the minutes from the last meeting. We had the opening prayer by Glenn Gopher, and it was called to order by Chairman Gerald Gray. Roll call of all the council members were present. Reading of previous minutes weren't available at that time. They were posted on our Facebook site. Then we had the introduction of guest speakers by Gerald Gray. We had Jason Smith from Governor Bullock's office. He is the Indian Affairs, Director of Indian Affairs. And then he introduced Harlan Tromley, the new American Indian Liaison for the Department of Corrections. And they gave us a pretty good rundown of what that was all about. And then they introduced Gary Newman of the Montana Health Co-op, who talked to us about the Affordable Care Act. Then we went into cultural activities by Richard Peranto, talking about the round dance, which is today, and the different things that we were going to do. He also talked about building a sweat lodge at the Little Shell Cultural Center. The powwow is set for August 23rd and 24th at the All People's Buffalo Jump. And he was working with the tobacco program and the wellness program and the language board on involving them. We had the enrollment committee report. Colleen Hill stated that enrollment officer Pat Mackey was unable to attend today, but Roger Sloyce was in attendance. There are 19 new enrollments ready that Gerald signed that day. Treasurer's report was given by Secretary Treasurer Colleen Hill. Bills are all current. She reminded anyone involved with planning events for the Little Shell that they must put together their plan and budget and get it approved by the council. The budget is still in process. The office hours were listed. The Toys for Tots program will be at the Cultural Center next year, and sign-up forms will be prepared earlier to start passing out. Then we had the Health Committee reports. Katie Antonich, the Tobacco Prevention Specialist, gave her report regarding the quit line, what is available and how to contact them. She also spoke of the GONA. They are setting up in June and will be taking 6 kids ages 11 to 13, and she'll have applications. Daryl Rummel, subcontractor for the wellness program, gave her report. Morgan Denny was there. Morgan was conducting interviews with the elders. She was still looking for some more volunteers. Daryl is planning another art contest that will be tied in with the round dance in May. The Language Preservation Committee report. Gerald Gray Sr. and Nicholas Veroomen gave details of the language program and listed some of the deliverables. At that point, they were looking for 2 more contractors to conduct research for the program, part-time, 4 hours a day. They only have until September 14th to put their deliverables together to deliver to the state. Then we had, excuse me, at Old Business, First Vice Chair Clarence Sievertson gave a report on the Visitor Center on the new 30 by 60 addition, up and enclosed, and they're working on the inside. He was framing in the bathrooms and electrical and plumbing next, then the walls can be closed in. Then on the 625 building that we've been talking with the owner at, the owner is willing to carry the contract and is almost 34,000 square feet of rental space and will provide a steady revenue stream. We are still waiting for more documents and more negotiating to do. And he talked on the Veterans Board that he's been meeting with, reviewing issues. If anyone has anything they would like him to talk to or take to the table, send him an email or call him.
Okay.
New business, Gerald Gray, chairman, talked on the federal recognition, passed out a letter from Washburn on his decision that he made, and we asked to have our petition suspended until the federal acknowledgement regulations are revamped. Our bills are still out there. Senator Tester and Senator Daines introduced and they're working on. New health board for the Little Shell had their first meeting, which consisted of Tim Gardapi, Alden Lautre, Dr. Ernest Gray, and Katie Antonich. We are still working on a constitutional convention and some new ordinances and policies, procedures. Also, the judicial system is still being worked on to get into place. And we had public comment. One member brought up about the finances of the Little Shell tribe and we requested to do the accounting. The council informed her per our constitution, the secretary treasurer has always handled the books and they are reviewed by all council members on a regular basis. Plus the fact we have an outside CPA do the taxes. Then we had a motion to adjourn. Motion was by Clancy Sievertson and a second by Leona Keenenberger.
Do you have any additions or corrections? Take a motion to approve. We have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Minutes approved of the previous council, our previous quarterly meeting. Now, Colleen, going to do committee reports, enrollment and financial report.
Okay. One thing at my top of my list, as usual, is accountability and checks and balances in every program activity for the Little Shell. Everything goes through the council and have council approval prior to expenditures. So anything that anyone wants to do that involves the Little Shell, that's the process that we are sticking to. We are at this point current with all of our bills. The budget for the Little Shell is complete. The TLC budget layout done and into TLC. Tobacco budget for 2014-2015 done and into the state. ICE grant completed for 2013 on the Stuckey Road addition, working on the 2014. In our accounts, our checking account general balance is $4,502.76. The tobacco programs account is $697.17. The language program account is $54,310.09, and our savings account $279,075.46. And those are the monies that we got from the Flathead property that we will be reinvesting into some other type of business to start bringing more revenue into our members and our accounts. Again, emphasizing our office hours are Monday through Thursday, 1 to 4. For enrollment, we have 32 new members signed up. Roger and Pat put in a lot of time and hours and diligently work on this. They are constantly getting applications for enrollment and all, and they get pretty overwhelmed and overloaded. So we all need to give Roger and Pat a big hand of applause for everything they do. Also, Roger couldn't be here today. He had back surgery on Wednesday. So if everybody would keep him in your prayers for a speedy recovery, we'd greatly appreciate it. Other than that, that's the end of my report.
Okay, before we move on to our language preservation board members and our guest speakers, I'd just like to say we do have ID applications up here. We have new ID cards and also enrollment forms if you want to fill them out and get a new card. And also I'll give you a quick update on the federal recognition, which is very important to us. So we have, with the last article that came out in the Great Falls Tribune, it kind of sounded like we're approved for federal recognition. What happened was our bill came out of the Senate side, out of markup, and it's ready to go to vote. But we need a companion bill on the House side, so we're kind of waiting for Danes to get a hearing in the Natural Resources Committee. Chances of that happening, I don't know. It's a long shot. And it's a really a long shot with both bills moving at the same time and becoming law. But on a more positive note, the BIA Office of Federal Acknowledgement are revamping the requirements to become a federally recognized tribe. Those went out for comment last summer. Right now, as it stands, they are at the White House, and they're waiting for some cover to go ahead and approve them, send it back to BIA. Once that happens, we are the first tribe, we were told by them when we met with them, to submit our petition and be federally recognized. We are the closest we have ever been, I think, right now. It's really exciting that this is happening. And I do think it'll happen through the BIA process and not come into law with either bill. And I was actually told that too by Senator Tester. He called me, he was like, it's a long shot, especially with it being an election season too. So with that, want to go ahead and have our language board come on up. Be Gerald Senior, Nicholas, Leona. Come on up.
I'm also on the language board, and I am so very happy to finally meet my mentor, Norman Fleury. I've been watching him taking lessons from him from the internet and Michif language. My parents spoke Michif fluently, my grandparents spoke Michif, and now I'm so happy that we are able to get the lessons for our people.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to all of our special guests and speakers. We're very delighted to have you, and we're happy that you had a safe journey down and look for a great journey back, and we're looking forward to also meeting with you this afternoon. For those who don't know me, I'm Gerald Gray, Senior. I'm a former school administrator. I've spent about 44 years in public schools, tribal schools. I'm not like a lot of administrators that jump around a lot of schools. I spent a lot of time at one school, actually 4 schools, but I'm saying one school at a time for a number of years. So, I have helped implement some programs, language programs at Rocky Boy, on the Rocky Boy Reservation, helped get it started. We did a bibliography there, the first one ever done of the tribe. So there are a number of other things, but I don't want to stand here and tell you all my experience and praise myself, because as everybody knows, working with language curriculum, it takes a team, and it takes a good team. And if you've got a good team, you don't have to worry about one member not doing their job like a basketball team and causing you to lose the game. It really involves a good solid team, good working team, hard-working team, those willing to put in the time. Because as I'm sure our Canadian brothers and sisters will tell us, it's a job. It's a tough job. And one thing the state of Montana has done, and we're very grateful to them, of course, for passing this Montana Indian Language Pilot Preservation Program, because it's given the Little Shell tribe money to begin to restore and preserve the language, which, without that help, we never would have been able to do it. But it's ironic, very ironic. I can remember years ago, Mr. Jim Davis, if you'll raise your hand, stand. He and I worked together at Rocky Boy. He is now the president of Turtle Mountain Community College. But he and I began the program at Rocky Boy with the bilingual program, and he knows the efforts and struggles and so forth. But make a long story short, you know, like I said, it really takes a team effort. And we've got I think, a great team. With that, before we go on, I want to tell you some of the deliverables. I mentioned some of the deliverables to you. For those that are new, I covered this at the last meeting, but I'll go over a few of our deliverables of this program to the state and give you an idea of what we've produced. But before I do, what we are to produce and submit to the State Historical Society. Before I do that, I want to introduce our team. But once again, let me say, I find it ironic that federal governments, state governments, Catholic religious institutions, not just spent hundreds of years trying to stamp out our culture, our language. And today, a lot of states and federal governments, and I think maybe even the Canadian government, I don't know that much about what you're doing there, but you know, they spent all these years trying to stamp the language out of our people, and they've almost succeeded. They have done so in a number of tribes already throughout the United States and Alaska. There are over 500 languages spoken, and a while back, about 10 years ago, there was 175 languages in the country that were still survive, but I'm sure there's some down now from that. But like I said, I found it ironic they spent all this time. Now they're helping to give us money to restore our languages and preserve it. So we are really grateful to the state of Montana and the state legislature for doing that. That's really great on their part. I do want to put in a little short plug for Montana, state of Montana. They're really a leader throughout the United States. In my past 40-some years working as a principal school superintendent for the majority of those years, I found that these programs that we're developing, we're taking, you know, minor steps and moving toward develop these programs. Now today, with today's technology, we can make great strides, and I'm sure we're going to. And I'm sure our brothers and sisters from Canada will share some of the great things they're doing. But with that, let me introduce our team. If we could have you all stand. Those that are working with the program, please stand. We have 3 ladies in the back there and 2 ladies up front. Mr. Bruman, myself, our council second vice chair. All right. I was going to have you just give a short little sentence or two about your experience and let them know what you've been doing up to date. If we could have someone pass the mic around.
As Gerald told you, my name is Daryl Rummel, and I was volunteered to be on this language program because I think it's so very important that we bring our language back. I think it's what's going to centralize us, not only having our building now, but to bring each of us together, learning the language, and we hope to have classes so that you can meet here and learn it all together, so we have someone to converse with. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Caroline Fleury, and I've been working with the tribe for a long time, and it's a great pleasure to be working with this language program. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kim McKeon. I'm Doni, actually, and I'm hired as a language researcher Currently I live in Bozeman. I have a little family there, and I'm a student at the University of Montana in the School of Social Work. And I've been compiling all the research that the board has done on the 3 influential languages, and we'll be able to produce that document for you all, I think, fairly soon.
My name is Brooke Pronto, and I'm a senior at Great Falls High School. I just started on this about 2 weeks ago on a language survey with Caroline, and I think it's a wonderful thing that we're doing.
Going to pass it on to Pat Mackey.
I'm Pat Mackey, and I grew up in this area, and I've been around the tribe for years. I don't want to say how many, but anyway, I just really enjoy working on this preservation program because it takes me back to the time when I was living some of it and knowing that, now knowing my family, when they get together, was all mentioned language, and now I can tie that together with what I've learned through the years. But the other thing I want to say is that Roger, Dr. Roger, and he said to tell everybody hi that he's on the mend and he goes back.
Okay, thank you. All right. One thing I would like to do before going further is, introduce our camera people here. We have the gentleman from Catwalk Films from Albuquerque, New Mexico, who has about 30 years of professional filming, and he's done some mighty fine stuff in those 30 years. He's got 2 high school students from Great Falls working with him, helping him out today. We recruited them, and they're doing an excellent job. Do you 2 high school students want to stand this way? Let them know who you are. Well, we're finding this a great opportunity to start getting our students involved. And we're conducting a language program survey. We've got a number of high school students from the schools here helping us out with the language survey. So this is a great opportunity to really get our young people involved and starting on the road to working with the tribe. But going on, I want to mention we have Mr. Craig Vinsel here from Albuquerque, New Mexico with Catwalk Films. And I think it's important, to let you know that Craig's been working on the television, film, and photography industry, in a national and local marketplace for over 30 years. He started out as a cameraman and technician in post-production and worked as a studio specialized in commercial production for advertising agencies and several served Buick, GMC, Toyota, and Hyundai. Craig has produced commercials for name brand products such as Tang, T-A-N-G, Windex, Lipton Tea, DuPont, Folgers, and some of the noted personalities including Roger Dangerfield, Arnold Schwarzenegger, James Earl Jones, and the great Bob Hope. He has produced music videos for Books and Dunn, Raymond Rio, Diamond Rio, Martina McBride, and other such folks. He's also produced some national stuff on National Geographic, BBC, and ESPN. He's also a great photographer, done stuff for 60 Minutes, ABC, Nightly News, Fox News, SPN, etc. I just want to give you a background of the kind of thing, the experience that Mr. Vinsel has, because I want to emphasize this is a historical meeting for the Little Shell tribe. It's historical that we're making contact thanks to Mr. Verumen, who is the assistant director of our language program. As you know, and many of you may know, some might not, Mr. Vrooman is a historian, has done a number of years of work with the Little Shell people, Cree, Chippewa tribes and so forth. He's a historian. He wrote a book for the Little Shell tribe called The Whole Country Was One Road, the Little Shell Tribes America. And we have some copies of that book available, but we're thankful and he can give you some background on that particular project. So with that, let me just cover a few deliverables. I don't want to go on and on here, so I'm trying to hurry and I don't want to make mistakes. I'm trying to get excited and flip up here. But we're going to do, we're doing a survey to get a database, some sort of database for the tribe. As you know, the challenges to the Little Shell has been they spoke a number of Indian languages and also mixed French and Irish and a few other non-Indian languages in with speaking, either Cree, Chippewa, Ojibwe, or the other mixed languages called Michif. And once again, our brothers and sisters can explain more about that than I'm able to, so I'll leave that to them. We're developing a booklet titled The Resource List Items and compiled from the internet on all these languages. We've been searching the internet since we began and collecting everything we can find about Chippewa, Cree, the Chippewa, languages, and also Michif. So we'll have an extensive little book with everything that we can find on the internet. I'm sure there's more, but we're doing a great job. That's one of the products we'll turn over to the State of Montana Historical Society. And then we're going to develop another booklet and we're going to confer with some of our folks here today. We want to have a meeting with our Canadian brothers and sisters this afternoon, sometime about 2 or 3 o'clock, and talk about another thing we're trying to do is develop a consortium where we can help one another, share that we're all working on the same languages, and I think as a consortium we might be able to do some things to help one another. So we want to start that effort. We're collecting all the information on any CDs and DVDs and films and everything else that's ever been published on these languages. So we're really going in depth. We have 17 items that we need to turn over to the State Historical Society after we're done with this project. So with that, let me turn this over to our the Assistant Director, Mr. Vrooman, who will introduce our brothers and sisters.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah, we'll have Katie do something first, but Nicholas wants to say a few words? Sure.
Mr. Chairman, Council, thank you very much. Elders, honored guests, what a great day we have here. Just a little bit about the work that we're about. And, so much is embedded in the language, the history of the people, the experience of all the ancestors, the accumulated knowledge, skills, and abilities of everything that it means to be an Aboriginal person of North America, and specifically Chippewa, Cree, Assiniboine, Michif, Nehehu-Puat, Confederacy, Iron Alliance peoples of the Northern Plains, of which the Little Shell are one. This is an amazing time because, in a sense, what's happening here, we're coming out of a time, of a fractured time in the history of our people. And we have representatives now here from Rocky Boy Reservation, from Turtle Mountain Reservation, from Saskatchewan, from Manitoba. And really that represents the fullness of the traditional historic homeland of our people here, right here in Great Falls, on Hill 57, right here. and your ancestors settled right here and had their babies and raised their families right here. And they settled here after the buffalo went away in the 1880s, and they've been here ever since. But all the while, they had their relatives up in the Cypress Hills, up in the Sweetgrass Hills, along the Milk River Valley, over in the Turtle Mountains, and up in Round Prairie, and over in San Vital and St. Boniface and in Pembina, and always held that all together. So what we have here today, and what makes it such an historic time, is that it's a reconvening, in a sense, of all the relatives that comprise the fullness of this culture that is the Little Shell tribe of Chippewa Indians of Montana. And so it's through the language and restoring the language, preserving the language, and doing what we can to incorporate it back into the ceremonies and the political offices of the people. And so that the memory and the honor of the ancestors and all they struggled for to bring us to where we are today, and to reconnect us with the relatives back in Belcourt and in Dunseith and throughout the Turtle Mountains, and reconnect us with the Bears Paw Mountains and all of the relatives who are up in that territory and throughout the prairie provinces, and make whole once again. The language is the key to the treasure. And the treasure is only accessed through holding the key, and that is the words of the language. So, miigwech, we've got a good day in front of us. Miigwech.
Okay, now I'd like to go on with some of our guest speakers. I'll first have Katie come up and introduce the guest speaker, and then Nicholas and Gerald Sr. after introduce the rest. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. I'm Katie Antonich, and I run the tobacco program for the tribe. And it is my pleasure to introduce Janet Suka, who is my liaison with the state.
Mr. Chairman and council members, thank you for inviting me to your meeting at this historic moment. It's very exciting. So I'm going to open with a joke that I heard from Mike Jetty, a friend from the Office of Public Instruction. So there were three men, a Blackfeet man, a Northern Cheyenne man, and a Little Shell man who were out for a walk. And they came across a mighty river that they wanted to cross. So they took out their tobacco, they lit it, and our Blackfeet man said to Great Spirit, give me the strength to cross the river. Poof! Became very bulky and swam right across to the other side without any trouble. So the Northern Cheyenne man came up and said, Great Spirit, give me the tools to cross the river. Poof! A canoe, a paddle. He easily strokes to the other side. So the Little Shell man comes and says to Great Spirit, give me the intelligence to get to the other side. Poof! A Little Shell woman showed up with a GPS and said there was a bridge half a mile away. So I just want to say first, Katie, Colleen, have skillfully navigated the complicated waters of the Montana Tobacco Use Prevention Program requirements and the budget restrictions, and safely reached the other side. We feel they have an excellent grasp of the program goals and objectives, and if a question arises, are always willing to ask and find the answers. So I want to compliment you on finding such hard workers to complete the tasks that we put forward at the state and all of those deliverables that need to be met. So what are the deliverables of MTUP, of the tobacco program? Basically, it's capacity building to get the word out about tobacco prevention and some of the harms of commercial tobacco. It's finding partnerships in the local community, giving you the information, finding partnerships with you and other members of your local area, clinicians, dentists, and the schools. Katie has found and made some wonderful connections She has a great partner with the Great Falls Schools and the Indian Education for All community there. And I spoke with them recently, and they said it's hard to gain our trust, but Katie has. And so I really want to compliment her on that, getting into the schools. All of this capacity building and getting the word out is because smoking and tobacco use is still an issue after 50 years. We just had the 50th anniversary of the Surgeon General's report talking about the harms of smoking. There are new products every day that are being introduced to entice young people and other members of our communities, and there's a constantly shifting terrain to counter corporate tobacco companies' schemes and tactics. So we know also that cancer and heart attacks are the foremost killers in the United States and in the Indian country. These are preventable through lifestyle change, through not smoking, smoke-free laws, healthy diet, exercise, screening. Those are the type of things that Katie needs to get out into communities. The second area, the second goal, is really preventing youth initiation to this deadly addiction. Tobacco companies obviously need replacement users, and they are still heavily advertising and targeting teens and Native Americans. This in 2012, in Montana alone, they spent $27.1 billion to advertise. And we don't see it that often, but it's through the internet. It's through where they buy their areas to place their products in stores. It's through gifts, and it's just in magazines as well. So it's all throughout our area. We know now from the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, which is offered to all Montana students, that 31% of American Indian students in Montana in 2013 still smoke cigarettes. 1 in 3 senior boys use smokeless tobacco daily. Another fact, we know that the Santa Fe Natural Tobacco Company, which is owned by Reynolds American, deceptively links American spirit cigarettes with Indian culture, as if they are somehow safer than other brands. They aren't. They're the same. They're using imagery and cultural traditions to sell a product. We need to clarify the intent placed on tobacco use and its relationship to tribes. There's many people here who have taught me a lot about traditional tobacco. There's a huge culture and protocol around it in American Indian tribes, especially in the tribes Indians. And we need to get that out. Smoking cigarettes from a commercial tobacco company habitually is different than using traditional tobacco. So we're trying to get that education out to the youth. One of the ways that we're doing that as a group throughout the state, I work with 9 other people like Katie throughout the state at the 7 other reservations and 2 Indian centers. With that, I'm just going to quickly introduce Dana and Laverne right there. They're from our urban Indian centers in Wasilla. Dana. And Laverne from Helena. These women from around the state are putting together a gathering of Native American youth for the summer in Blue Bay on the Flathead Reservation on June 24th through 27th for students who have completed 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. That's a target age for students in a best practice from CDC to learn about tobacco. And so they are allowing those students to come to that community and have a real go in there. And we have trainers who will be coming in. We're partnering with SAMHSA. We're partnering with the Tribal Technical Assistance Team out of Washington, D.C. with some local regional area. So we have a really good program coming up. If you have any youth that fall into that age group, Katie has applications and really would like to stress that program. And I see you nodding your head. You went last year and you were a great participant, and it's a fun event. Another one of the goal areas is cessation. And there's lots going on with trying to find ways to help people quit tobacco. We have a national quit line, or a Montana quit line, to offer cessation products and NRTs, which are nicotine replacement therapy. And we have different programs. We're working right now on developing a specific program for American Indian callers, but we also, running right at this moment, is one for pregnant women. Smoking when you're pregnant is also a huge concern. 1 in 4 American Indian women still smoke while they're pregnant. That's a high percentage, and it leads often to low birth weight babies. It can lead to SIDS, asthma, and respiratory problems, as well as learning difficulties. It's something we want to stop, and there's ways of helping to have incentives in the program for that. So those are goal areas that Katie is working on with us. And the last goal area is a smoke-free environment. Through policy, signs, and advertising and reminders, we need to think about the second and third hand effects on people, especially children and babies. But secondhand smoke exposure, even for as little as 30 minutes, can cause a heart attack. 2.5 million people have died from secondhand smoke in the United States. But smoke-free laws have reduced heart attack rates by nearly 20%. So it's working. These policies are working. And I want to really thank the Little Shell Council, and looking at this wonderful building you have here, that from the get-go it's a smoke-free facility. You're lucky you have such a wonderful council bringing that together and have such a